Welcome back to another video on the Football Zone and to another weekend previewing all of this week's Premier League and Championship action, starting off in the Premier League and with Arsenal versus Newcastle. This is an interesting one. I believe Eddie Howe still won't be there, but I could be wrong. And obviously Arsenal, they got whacked last time out, but yeah, they've been on a good run before that, so they'll be looking to bounce back against Newcastle. Yeah, they improved in that draw, but let's face it, they're still nowhere near that good, and I can see this being a comfortable win for Arsenal to get back on track. I'll say 2-0. Moving on, Palace host Villa, and a game that I'm really looking forward to. Palace have been really good recently. Obviously didn't get the win last time against Burnley, which I will be disappointed with, but Villa, their first game under Steven Gerrard was a massive improvement, a 2-0 win over Brighton. And yeah, for me, this game's really evenly matched between two very good sides on their day. So yeah, I'm kind of torn in this one, and I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I think this will be a close game. Moving on then to a game which I don't think will be too close at all, and I doubt many people think will be too close. Liverpool versus Southampton. Yeah, you can only really see this game one way. A Liverpool win in that 4-0 win against Arsenal. They were just incredible, and a comfortable win against Porto. Southampton obviously losing to Norwich. I think that was partly down to the new manager's bounce, but still a disappointing result after 2 wins on the trot before the break. So yeah, they'll be looking to rediscover that sort of form, but I think it'll be difficult when you're coming up against that sort of team. So I'm going to say a comfortable 2-0 win to Liverpool. Moving on then, Norwich host Wolves at Carrow Road, and this is a game that I'm really interested in. Norwich, obviously, they've picked up massively, 2 wins on the trot now, and yeah, suddenly they're looking like a decent team. Wolves obviously got a huge win last time against West Ham. No one saw that coming, or maybe some people did, but yeah, still a great result. Bruno Lage is doing bits there, but Norwich at home, they're looking good under Dean Smith, definitely improving off the bottom now, and I can actually see them sneaking a result here. I don't think they'll get the win, but I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Moving on, Brighton host Leeds at the Amex, and yeah, this is another really interesting game. Brighton, they kind of have tailed off a bit recently, haven't they, after a great start to the season. They're winless in 5 in all comps and down to 9th in the table, which would be slightly disappointing. But Leeds, it's really not going to plan either for them at the moment, really. A bit of a dodgy run of form. I think this is an ideal opportunity for Brighton to bounce back and get back on a decent run of form again. I think they will do exactly that. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on, Brentford host Everton at the Brentford Community Stadium, and this is an interesting one. Brentford, obviously not the greatest run of form, they kind of have tailed off a bit. Draw with Newcastle away last time, not a disastrous result, but at the same time Everton, they are on a really bad run of form as well. So both teams will see this as an opportunity to pick up, finally get some results and find some form. It'll be interesting to see which one takes this opportunity, because it could create a little bit of a run, you never know. But yeah, I could see this being a draw, dull as 0-0 between two sides who aren't in great form. But moving on, Burnley host Tottenham at Turf Moor. Burnley, they're unbeaten on 3 now, on a decent little run. Actually, most recently lost to Tottenham in the Carabao Cup. And Tottenham, they're still not playing brilliantly under Antonio Conte, but they're unbeaten so far, 2 wins from 3. They're on a decent little run since he's come in. So I think they'll take confidence from that into this game, and I think they will just once again just about nick a win. I'm going to say a 1-0 Tottenham win. Moving on now, Leicester host Watford at the King Power Stadium, and I think this is a big one for Leicester. Obviously Watford, they're a bit inconsistent at the moment. 1 loss, lost 1 their last 4, but Leicester, they're on a bad run of form. It did look like they're turning a corner, but they seem to have gone backwards again recently. So this is a huge opportunity at home to Watford, a game which they really should be winning just to rediscover some form, because they're down in 12th. If they want to get Europe, they really need to pick a move on. So I'm going to say 1-0 to Leicester. Moving on, Manchester City host West Ham at the Etihad, and City, 4 wins on the trot, win over PSG last time, just an incredible win. But West Ham, obviously that defeat to Wolves, it'll be interesting to see how that affects them, because that's definitely an unexpected loss, especially after the higher beating Liverpool before the break. This is a big one for West Ham. But for City, I just think they're so good at the moment. I can't really see them being defeated here. I'm going to say a 2-0 City victory. And then moving on to the main event of the weekend, you could say, Chelsea host Manchester United. And this is a huge game. Chelsea, 4-0 win over Juventus last time out. They're just so good. 3-0 over Leicester. It's just a joy to watch at the moment. Manchester United obviously getting that huge win over Villarreal, but this is a totally different test for Michael Carrick. No new interim manager at place. So yeah, it will be a tough one for United, and I can really only see this going one way, and that's a comfortable win for Chelsea. I'm going to say 3-0. Moving on then, West Brom host Nottingham Forest at the Hawthorns, and this is quite an interesting one because West Brom, they're not on a decent run of form at all. 1 win and 5, I think it is. And Forest, they're a draw specialist at the moment, drawn 4 of the last 5. So they want to find a win. But I think going to somewhere like West Brom, I think they'll more than happily take a point. But for West Brom, this is a big opportunity to get a win and find some form again. And I think that's exactly what they'll do. I think they'll have a bit too much. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on, Preston host Fulham at Deepdale. And Preston, they got a good result in the week, a 2-1 win away at Middlesbrough, especially considering Chris Wilder's only just gone in there. That's a great result for them. 1-3 for the last 5, but Fulham obviously disappointed to Derby last time out, draw. They're playing really well at the moment, and it's hard to see them not getting a win here, especially if Mitrovic is supposedly back in the side. I will say a 1-0 win to Fulham, but it could be more. Moving on, Birmingham host Blackpool at St Andrews, and this is another interesting one. Birmingham, is there a hard one, Birmingham? They're just inconsistent, aren't they? 1-2, and then they've lost 2 after that, and now they've drawn. But Blackpool, they've drawn the last 3, and you could easily see a draw happening here. There just doesn't seem like much to split the two sides. But I think Birmingham, this is a home game that they will be targeting. And now that I think of it, I can see Birmingham just maybe nicking a winner. I'm going to say 1-0. Bournemouth host Coventry at the Vitality Stadium. And this is a big one for Bournemouth. They do have a healthy margin at the top, but they've only picked up 1 point from the last 2. And Coventry, they've drawn the last 2. Still on a decent run of form, but winless in 2-0, could very well be through with the quality of Bournemouth. So I think this is a big game for both sides, especially Bournemouth, just to get their mojo back. And I think they probably will do here. I think it'll be a comfortable win. I'm going to say 2-0. Moving on then to Huddersfield, who host Middlesbrough. And this is another interesting game. Huddersfield, inconsistent as you like, really. But still hanging just outside the playoffs, so not doing too badly at all. And then you've got Middlesbrough, who are still winless under Chris Wilder, which was disappointing. I think maybe they would have hoped for a bit more. But still plenty of time to go. There's a hard one to call this. Will Middlesbrough, I imagine Wilder will want a reaction for that defeat in the week, and Huddersfield will want a reaction too. But I think this will be a closely matched game, and I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Moving on, Hull take on Millwall at the KCOM Stadium, and Hull, no one saw this coming a few weeks ago. 3 wins on the trot now, and suddenly they're flying, and Millwall 3 draws on the trot, but that was a decent draw last time out against Bournemouth. So I think both teams will come into this one full of confidence, and it will be a close game. Hull will want to extend their gap further away from the relegation zone. Millwall want to get closer to the playoffs. I can see the two teams cancelling each other out here. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Moving on then to a huge game at the foot of the Championship. Peterborough host Barnsley. And this is a big one. Peterborough obviously thrashed last time out against Blackburn 4-0. Barnsley, not great for them either. 2-0 loss to Swansea. So both teams will be desperate to want a reaction. Barnsley, they're kind of getting cut adrift. 6 points off Reading in 21st. Peterborough 2 points adrift, so there's a big one for them. They could push Reading into the drop zone, and I consider them favourites here. I'm just not convinced by Barnsley at all at the moment, and I'm going to say a 1-0 victory. Moving on then, it's Blackburn, who travel to Stoke at the Bet365 Stadium, and Blackburn, they're on a great run at the moment, I think it's fair to say. Obviously, had that massive outlier, the 7-0 loss to Fulham, but except for that, they're on a really, really good run. But then Bristol City ended Stoke's decent run on Wednesday in the Championship. So once again, this is a game that could go either way, but I just feel like with home advantage, Stoke will probably be the favourites here, and I just about fancy them to pick up the victory. And moving on then to Kenilworth Road, Luton host Cardiff. Luton, they're on a shaky run of form at the moment. Lost 2, drawn 1 of the last 3, so they want to pick up form. But Cardiff, 2 wins on the trot, but then a really, really disappointing loss to Hull. And it puts them, when you thought they were maybe getting away from relegation race, they're only 3 points clear now, so definitely not anything decided as of yet. So they'll want to win from this one for sure. But Luton's a tough one, and I kind of fancy them to pick up some good form from here. I'm going to say 1-0 to Luton. Moving on, Swansea host Reading at the Liberty Stadium, and Swansea, they're playing quite well at the moment, I would say. Really good performances, lovely football, but yeah, the results have been a bit shaky. Win, drawn and lost from the last three, but they're definitely improving. Reading, the form is just not great at all, is it really? Disappointing 1-0 loss to Sheffield United, and yeah, to be honest, with the way Swansea are playing, I think they'll have a bit too much for Reading here, and I'm going to say a 2-0 loss. Moving on, Sheffield United host Bristol City at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United, 1-0 win over Reading last time out, which is obviously a good result, but it's been overshadowed by Slavisa Jukanovic's sacking, and I have no idea where that came from. Because a win over Reading, it's a tough place to go. It just didn't make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, will that be a distraction, or will Heckingbottom get a new manager bounce? Don't get me started on that appointment. It's just bizarre. I'm going to say 2-0 to Sheffield United. Moving on. Derby host QPR at Pride Park, and yeah, this is an interesting one. QPR, they're unbeaten in 5 now, and they're slowly picking up their good form after a really inconsistent spell. And Derby, great results recently. 4 points from Bournemouth and Fulham. Just incredible considering the position they're in. They're so hard to beat. I can't see QPR beating them either. I'm going to say a 1-1. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Know your thoughts, comments down below. Funny also, thank you for daily football news, and subscribe to the channel and subscribe. I know it'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.